I hate to break it to you, but success has a price. What's more, there's a reason why only one of your heroes gets to be called the Great One. For every great hero, there are a dozen others with similar stories, similar values, and similar aspirations. But only one of them will get the title of the Great. Why? Because while all of them were willing to pay some price for success, only one was willing to pay any price. While all of them had to make sacrifices, only one was willing to sacrifice anything. While all of them had to make hard choices, only one was willing to choose difficulty over ease, action over inaction. Only one was willing to be ruthless. When we think of ruthless, most people think of cruelty, senseless violence, and needless destruction. But in reality, ruthless means freedom from the control of others, being able to cut through the noise, bias, and emotions to make the best decision for you, even if it means going against everyone else. Success has a price, and if you refuse to pay it, you can expect to pay the consequences. So today I'm going to teach you how to become ruthless like Machiavelli. We'll look at what he wrote about ruthless people and how they achieve their goals. Then we'll look at his examples and how you can apply them in your own life. Finally, we'll look at why you need to be ruthless if you want to succeed and what will happen if you don't. So if you're ready to learn how to be more ruthless like Machiavelli, let's get started. There are 3 things you need to know about being ruthless according to Machiavelli. The first is that ruthless people are fearless when making difficult choices. The second is that they know how to use other people to get ahead. And the third is that they put results above everything else. Now let's take a closer look at each of these 3 lessons. The first lesson is that ruthless people are fearless when making difficult choices. When we think of fear, we usually think of something negative, and rightly so. Fear of public speaking, fear of losing a loved one, fear of failure. These are all natural human fears that we try to avoid at all costs. However, the great paradox of fear is that while avoiding certain fears may keep us safe in the moment, it comes at the cost of our potential. It prevents us from taking risks, trying new things, and putting ourselves out there. This is why successful people are often described as fearless. They're not afraid to fail because they know that failure is just another excuse to learn and improve. They're not afraid to take risks because they know that the potential rewards outweigh the risks. Fearlessness is what allows us to push past our limits and achieve the extraordinary. It's what allows us to take the leap of faith necessary to succeed in whatever we do. When we think of ruthless people, we usually think of villains, dictators, and tyrants. But the truth is that ruthless people aren't necessarily bad people. In fact, sometimes being ruthless is the only way to achieve a greater good. Think of it this way. Would you rather have a leader who is afraid to make tough decisions, or one who is willing to do what needs to be done? For example, imagine you're in a war and your army is losing. Would you rather have a general who is afraid to risk his soldiers' lives by attacking, or one who is willing to go all in and win the war? The point is that ruthlessness isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the only way to achieve a greater good. This doesn't mean that we should all be ruthless, but it does mean that we shouldn't judge ruthless people too harshly. They may be doing what they believe is right, even if it's not what we would do in their situation. The second lesson is that ruthless people know how to use other people to get ahead. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in life is to think that you have to do everything yourself. Successful people know that they can't do everything themselves, so they find ways to leverage the skills and expertise of others. They build teams of talented individuals and give them the resources they need to do their jobs well. This allows them to focus on the big picture, while their team takes care of the details. There's an old saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Successful people understand this, and they make sure to surround themselves with the right people. In today's world, it's more important than ever to be able to work with others. The old ways of working alone and competing with everyone else are simply not as effective anymore. The key to success is to be able to bring out the best in others and help them achieve their goals. When you do this, everyone wins. You need to realize that people are the most valuable resource in your life. They can help you accomplish things that you never could on your own. Don't be afraid to ask for help or delegate tasks to others. This is the only way to achieve greatness. The final lesson is that ruthless people put results above everything else. Results are what matter most in life. Everything else is secondary. Doesn't matter how good your intentions are or how well you think you've done something. If you don't get the desired result, then you haven't really accomplished anything. That's why ruthless people are always focused on results. They set clear goals, and then they go after them relentlessly. They don't allow anything to stand in the way of their success. This means that ruthless people are often willing to make tough decisions. They're not afraid to cut bait when something isn't working. They're not afraid to fire employees who aren't contributing. They're not afraid to walk away from deals that aren't beneficial. Being ruthless in this way might seem harsh, but it's often necessary to achieve greatness. The ruthless person is willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. They're not afraid of making enemies or hurting feelings. They just want results. If you want to be successful, you must put results above everything else. Everything else is secondary. Do I don't be afraid to make tough decisions, and do I don't allow anything to stand in the way of your success? Why do you need to be ruthless if you want to succeed? Well, firstly, the world is ruthless. It doesn't care about your feelings or the difficulties you face. It just is. And secondly, if you're not willing to be ruthless, you'll be less likely to take risks, to stand up for yourself, and to go after what you want. You'll also be less likely to make tough decisions and to stick to your guns. As a result, you'll fall short of your potential and miss out on the success that is rightfully yours. What will happen if you don't learn to be ruthless? Well, quite simply, you'll get run over by those who do. You will miss out on the success that awaits you, and you will end up paying the price for someone else. I've already told you that success has a price, and you need to be willing to pay it. The question is, are you ruthless enough? If you enjoyed this video, watch these next videos to level up. See you next time.